Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News Brief. Before I begin, I would like to suggest that everyone just make sure you're subscribed, make sure you've got your notifications turned on, and to say that I am going to be doing 2 live streams this weekend, one on Friday night at 9 and one on Saturday night at 9. And I'm also going to be live streaming the President's State of the Union address next week. So make sure that you've got your notifications on so you can join us. Thanks again. All right, first of all, from the Gateway Pundit. Outrageous. Rubber-faced John Kerry attacks President Trump internationally. Says Trump should resign. Wow. Master statesman right there. Obama's corrupt Secretary of State John Kerry continues to attack President Trump from abroad. John Kerry participated in a CNBC panel during the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland this week, where he called on President Trump to resign. Here is the video.
And just with that final word then, Secretary Kerry, if you had President Trump sitting right opposite you, what would your message to him be?
I can't play that. I would. But I know that, you see, because he doesn't take any of this seriously. He doesn't have an ability to have that kind of conversation.
What would you say to him to get it serious? What would your message be?
Resign.
Okay.
Of course John Kerry wants President Trump to resign because he doesn't want to end up in Gitmo. President Trump canceled his delegation's trip to the World Economic Forum in Davos this year, citing the government shutdown. John Kerry seized this opportunity to undermine President Trump from abroad. This highly dangerous and damaging move by John Kerry should not surprise those paying attention. John Kerry has been engaging in shadow diplomacy by secretly meeting with foreign leaders to salvage the Iran nuclear weapons deal he helped craft while he was Secretary of State. According to a bombshell report by the Boston Globe published last year, John Kerry met twice with Foreign Minister Javad Zarif to discuss ways to preserve the Iran nuclear program. John Kerry has not faced any consequences for his efforts that clearly undermine the current administration. Donald Trump Jr. hammered John Kerry for calling on Trump to resign and said, "I imagine that anyone that appears to be working for the Iranians should feel the same way." Ouch. That's a burn. Okay. So yeah, I can only hope that something's going to happen to John Kerry. He has clearly been traveling the world as the shadow Secretary of State still, just like Obama's been acting as the shadow president, going to the same places that Trump has gone, trying to undermine everything that's been done in his wake. And I really cannot wait to see John Kerry on that stage with his head in the block. Now next, again from the Gateway Pundit, we have some really startling news coming out of Venezuela. Hundreds of thousands of protesters are coming out against the failed socialist regime in Caracas. Hundreds of thousands of demonstrators took to the streets of Caracas on Wednesday to protest the failed socialist Maduro regime. Let's see if we can check out this video.
Well, you can see the numbers, they are absolutely huge. These people are coming from the southeast of Caracas, and they've come really quite a long way. Lots of them coming to show their anger at the government. This is sort of main motorway, and it's blocked off now, and there's motorbikes here. People have come to look, but it's pretty much the only way to get around town. But come and have a look at the numbers here. They are absolutely vast. It's hundreds of thousands for certain already. And they're all coming now to meet from different parts of the city at the main square that they've identified as the rallying point. One part of the city in the west is being blocked off by the government, and there's a sort of anticipation here that the rally could turn violent. They normally do. The government has suppressed this type of gathering for a very long time now. Caracas hasn't had this sort of number of people out on the streets for a long time, and it's very important to remember it's happening in cities all over Venezuela as well, places that would normally be against the government. I think the people are feeling emboldened by the amount of international support their opposition is getting, the amount of international countries that are saying that the government here just simply isn't legitimate.
There's a chance that we actually get a new decent president that will actually have a change in our country, make a change.
and also that all the countries in all the world has an eye on us, and they're watching everything that is happening, supporting us also, and they know what's happening today, what's happening in Venezuela, and all the people's situation. The right decision is to go to the streets, because if we do nothing, we have to get. We're like acceptance. Yeah.
So yeah, hundreds of thousands of people are out in the streets. Here's another video from Lester Holt. I don't really care for Lester Holt, so I'm not going to put that. And it's getting bad. Protesters torched a Hugo Chavez statue on Tuesday. So tell us how you really feel, Venezuela. Luke Rudkowski of We Are Change reports, unconfirmed, but allegedly this is the scene right now in Venezuela with people celebrating that they have a new president. So it looks like this video is confirmed with similar ones coming out like this, where the cameraman even says the date and location of where it was shot. Caracas, today, 23rd of January, 2019. Well, not only that, but here is additional reporting on the torching of the Hugo Chavez statue. The socialist regime in Venezuela teeters on the edge today. People came out in force to protest the brutal and corrupt Marxist Maduro regime. The socialist dream in Venezuela is in tatters, just like all of the evil socialist regimes before it. Yet here in America, we have a political party that is pushing this evil filth. The Gateway Pundit has sources on the ground in Caracas. On Tuesday, the Venezuelan protesters torched the giant Hugo Chavez statue. On Wednesday, protesters torched the District 23 House of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela. That is huge. And the New York Times is reporting that the socialist president of Venezuela, Maduro, has cut ties with the U.S. after President Trump has recognized the opposition leader as the new president of Venezuela. President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela faced the most direct challenge to his hold on power on Wednesday when an opposition leader stood in the streets of the capital and declared himself the legitimate president, cheered on by thousands of supporters and a growing number of governments, including the Trump administration. Mr. Maduro responded furiously by cutting diplomatic ties with the United States. He gave American diplomats 72 hours to leave the country, ordering them out with a derisive "be gone," and accusing the Trump administration of plotting to overthrow him. The United States said it would ignore the deadline. Ooh, wow. The fast-moving developments convulsed Venezuela, a once prosperous country that has been devastated by years of political repression, economic mismanagement, and corruption. But they also appeared to give new momentum to the opposition leader, Juan Guaido, a 35-year-old politician who stepped onto the national stage just recently. So I do have, maybe a couple of misgivings about this. Anytime you've got someone that just steps out onto the stage and other countries just start recognizing them as the duly elected leader, makes you wonder, how is all this happening? Is this organic? Are these people coming out because they are just fed up with the Maduro regime? And I'd like to remind you that the Maduro regime is an excellent example of a wide-scale putting into action of the types of things that the Democrats want to do. If they had their way, we would basically be Venezuela 2.0. But this is what's happening. You've got people wild in the streets. You've got fires. I don't know about looting, but it definitely seems like it's a chaotic mess on the ground. One other thing I will notice also is that these people look fairly healthy. All the reporting that I see coming out of Venezuela, or that I have seen coming out of Venezuela, says that everybody's starving. You've got people eating their dogs, or people in prisons like killing each other to eat them. Now, I don't know if that's just because they're just not taking care of the prisoners. Are they just trying to starve them to death? Or is it that things on the ground are a lot better than they have been portrayed? I don't know. We'll have to see how this pans out. And next, we have got another great set of reporting from the Gateway Pundit. This is on Nathan Phillips. Now, I am going to show his face because he has been all over the place. He took the brave step of going on the Today Show this morning. So it says here, the teen at center of Covington media uproar tells left-wing media hack on Today Show he's not sorry for silent stare-down with liar Nathan Phillips. Good for you, son. Covington Catholic High School junior Nick Sandman went on with left-wing hack Savannah Guthrie on the Today Show on Wednesday morning. Guthrie pleaded with the child to issue an apology for his aggressive behavior to the unhinged Native American who was beating his drum in his face. Native American Indian Nathan Phillips then went on the media and lied about how he was disrespected and how the children were chanting, "Build the wall," which is another lie. Phillips also lied about his service for years, saying he was a Vietnam veteran. Nick also told Guthrie he was not sorry for his silent stare down with liar Nathan Phillips, who was pounding his drum in the boy's face. Ha ha. Let's check this out.
Do you feel from this experience that you owe anybody an apology? Do you see your own fault in any way?
As far as standing there, I had every right to do so. My position is that I was not disrespectful to Mr. Phillips. I respect him. I'd like to talk to him. I mean, in hindsight, I wish we could have walked away and avoided the whole thing. But I can't say that I'm sorry for listening to him and standing there.
This morning, 16-year-old Nick Sandman standing by his actions in this moment gone viral. The junior at Kentucky's Covington Catholic High School, now the face of this Lincoln Memorial confrontation with Native American elder Nathan Phillips.
I cannot believe that the liberal, insane left is still trying to push that narrative. There was no confrontation other than for this guy, this liar, walking up to this kid and getting in his face and pounding his drum. Nick Sandman's right. He's got nothing to apologize for. This young man and all of his friends behaved admirably as far as I'm concerned, because you got somebody coming up and getting in my face, and that's the last thing you're going to want to do. Get out of my space, okay? I would be backing up or I would be walking forward. And, this guy has nothing to apologize for. I cannot believe that she is trying to still pin some amount of blame on him after so widely we have seen all of the coverage showing that this kid did absolutely nothing wrong. Nick Sandman, you are a true American hero and a patriot. And next we've got breaking news. The lawyer representing the Covington kids received a certain type of threat after giving celebs and journalists 48 hours notice to retract or face lawsuits. Robert Barnes, the hero lawyer representing several of the families from Covington Catholic High School, received a malicious threat on Wednesday afternoon. The threat comes after he gave 48 hours notice for celebrities, media outlets, politicians, and journalists, 48 hours to retract and apologize for any defamatory statements made against the Covington kids or potentially be named in a lawsuit next week. The threat was emailed and used the same deadline. It said, "I am coming to, boom, your office, get ready, 48 hours, be ready." Barnes told the Gateway Pundit that the threat shows how dangerous the establishment press can be when it excites madness with libelous lies. Barnes added that if the goal was to deter me in helping these families, it had the opposite effect. Appearing on Fox News, Barnes had thrown down the gauntlet, saying, "Because these are all private citizens and many of them minors and kids, the law is that saying anything about them is libel, and you don't have a defense of actual malice. All you have to prove is negligence." So a lot of these journalists have been saying false statements about the kids at the Lincoln Memorial, false statements about various photographs that are related to the school, slurring and libeling the entire school and all the alumni of the school. And all you have to prove is that they were negligent in doing so. At this standpoint, at this point in time, it is clear that anyone who continues to libel about these kids has done so illegally and can be sued for it, Barnes said. Let's take a listen.
Covington Catholic High School has decided to open their doors back up today, but that doesn't mean that students are feeling any safer.
There have been many threats against our lives, against our parents. Some of these threats include that we should all be locked in the school and it should be burnt to the ground, the school being bombed, school shooting threats. It's really scary. I know that a lot of people are scared to go to school tomorrow and won't be attending because of what could happen.
And that's why they closed school yesterday. Thanks to feelings like this, some parents are actually considering legal action, and one lawyer says he's willing to help the families for free.
Joining us right now is that attorney, Robert Barnes. Robert, I understand people emotionally taking sides, but where does the legality of this come in?
Well, because these are all private citizens, and in many cases minors and kids, the law is that it's saying anything false about them is libel, and you don't have a defense of actual malice. It's all you have to prove is negligence. So a lot of these journalists have been saying false statements about these kids, false statements about the kids that are at the Lincoln Memorial, false statements about kids that were in various photographs related to the school, slurring and libeling the entire school and all the alumni for the school. And all you have to prove is that they were negligent in doing so. And by this standpoint, by this point in time, it is clear that anyone who continues to lie and libel about these kids has done so illegally and can be sued for it.
Robert, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to help the families?
Well, the nature of libel lawsuits is that generally it's very hard to bring. They cost between $250,000 and $1 million in legal fees to bring. That's how much powerful people will use for their legal fees to defend such suits. So I wanted to equalize the playing field. These are people who couldn't afford to bring this claim on their own behalf. That's why I offered my services for free, because somebody needed to stop this from reoccurring and happening to other kids across the country.
Something tells me these people are in a whole heap of trouble. There's a lot of people out there who have said and done a lot of nasty things about these kids in the last couple of days, and they are clearly innocent and victims of the incredible vitriol that has been poured upon them. So I am looking forward to seeing what happens with this. God bless this man for putting his work out there for free, and God bless these kids too. Finally, one more story about the Covington saga. A retired Navy SEAL says Nathan Phillips was not a Vietnam vet, which we already knew. He was actually a mechanic who went AWOL 3 times. 3 times! The frauds in the mainstream media propped up far-left Native American activist Nathan Phillips as an elder and a Vietnam vet. The media piled on the Covington Catholic teens for disrespecting and mobbing the poor Vietnam vet. How dare these boys be so disrespectful to a man who served in one of America's nastiest wars? Except he didn't. Nathan Phillips served in the United States Marines from 1972 to 1976. He claimed he was a recon ranger. There is no such thing as a Marine recon ranger. Rangers are in the Army. Retired U.S. Navy SEAL Don Shipley, who is known for publicly outing people for stolen valor, obtained Nathan Phillips' DD-214 form and exposed the truth. Nathan Phillips was enlisted under the name Nathaniel Richard Stannard. Nathaniel Phillips enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserves on May 20th, 1972, and served until May 5th, 1976, Don Shipley said as he read the DD-214 form. He served under just 4 years and was discharged at the exalted rank of private, Shipley said sarcastically. Nathan Phillips went AWOL 3 times while he was stationed at El Toro Marine Base in Southern California, according to his DD-214 form. Oh, Lord. On Monday, the Washington Post quietly issued a correction to their story about Nathan Phillips, saying that while he served in the Marines, he was never deployed to Vietnam. He never went to Vietnam, but this lie was previously used to help raise money for a documentary about his life. The mainstream media ran with a narrative without fact-checking and spread lies about the Covington teens to push their left-wing, anti-Christian agenda. The media has just one job, and they fail at it every day. They certainly do, and that's why I'm here, helping to spread the truth and helping to get the message out about what's really going on in the world. I want to thank everyone who has joined us today, everyone who checks out my videos on a daily basis. I couldn't do this without you, without your help. It's only because of you that I exist. So thank you once again for joining me. I am Red Pill 78. If you haven't yet, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.
They come from the shadows.